Have you ever been denied for no reason? How many times have you heard a no without explanation? What if the only reason was your appearance? How to react when a simple act of discrimination reveals a much bigger problem. The search for the perfect place. Marcos Almeida. He was a renowned lawyer, specializing in business law. After years of working tirelessly, he decided to invest in a luxury property in the most valued area of the city. I wanted a modern, sophisticated space, close to the office. When he saw an advertisement for a spectacular apartment with a panoramic view, he decided to immediately call the responsible brokerage. The voice on the other end of the line was polite but a little hesitant. "This property is quite exclusive, sir. We have a lot of people interested." Marcos smiled. "I already expected something like this." "No problem. Can we schedule a visit?" After a few seconds of silence, the broker replied, "Sure, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Marcos confirmed the time and hung up, feeling slightly uneasy. He knew that tone of hesitation well, but he decided to ignore the feeling and prepare for the visit. The different treatment. The next day, Marcos arrived at the building on time. She wore an impeccable suit and carried a folder of documents. As soon as he entered the lobby, he noticed suspicious looks from the doorman and the receptionist. "Can I help you?" the doorman asked with a cold tone. "I have a visit scheduled with the broker to see an apartment." The receptionist hesitated, picked up the phone, and after a quick conversation said, "Sir, there was a mistake. The apartment was sold this morning." Marcos frowned. Something felt off. How could such an expensive apartment be sold suddenly? Right at the time of your visit? What a coincidence. It was sold right before I arrived? The receptionist just shrugged, ending the conversation there. The doorman continued to stare at him indifferently. It was a game Marcos knew. He had been through this before, but he wasn't going to let it go this time. The test of truth intrigued, Marcos decided to take a test. On the same day, he asked his friend Ricardo, a white businessman, calls the brokerage asking about the same apartment. To your surprise, the broker confirmed that the property was still available and scheduled a visit for the following day. Upon hearing this, Marcos felt a mix of indignation and determination. He already knew what was happening, but now he had concrete proof. "Now, I'm going to go all the way with this." He didn't just want the apartment. I wanted justice, the confrontation. The next day, Ricardo went to the real estate office, but Marcos went with him. However, this time, he entered the room before his friend. The broker saw him and turned pale. "Mr. Almeida, what are you doing here?" "I came to see the apartment that was sold. Or is it still available to other people?" The broker was speechless. Ricardo entered the room soon after, and her silence confirmed everything. "So, if I were white, I could buy the property?" Marcos asked, remaining calm. The woman tried to explain herself, stuttered, looked for excuses, but there was no way out. Justice starts here. Marcos did not let the situation go unpunished. As a lawyer, I knew this discrimination was illegal. He gathered evidence, including recordings of the calls, and filed a formal lawsuit against the real estate company and the condominium. The case quickly gained repercussion, being reported in newspapers and social media. Society began to openly debate racism in the real estate market. The real estate company tried to minimize the impact, but it was too late. The consequences. The pressure was so great that the real estate agency lost customers and was fined. The broker involved was fired, and the condominium had to implement mandatory training on racial discrimination. Other customers began reporting similar experiences. The scandal grew, and several real estate companies began to be investigated. But the best part was yet to come. The apartment owner. After the repercussion of the case, the owner of the apartment himself contacted Marcos. "Mr. Almeida, I had no idea what happened. I would never agree to that." The owner was outraged to learn that his property had been denied to a legitimate buyer solely out of prejudice. Are you still interested? Marcos smiled. Now more than ever. And so he closed the contract directly with the owner without intermediaries. No discrimination. The triumphal arrival. A few weeks later, Marcos signed the contract and got the keys to the apartment. On the day of the move, he passed through the entrance, now without suspicious looks. This time, he wasn't just a visitor, it was the new resident. The same receptionist who had tried to stop him had to open the door and wish him a good day. "Welcome to the building, Mr. Almeida," Marcos just replied. "I'm glad you recognize me now." The legacy of change. Marcos's story was not just a personal victory. It served to expose a structural problem and pave the way for others to also fight against discrimination. The case led to changes in the city's real estate policies. Stricter laws were created requiring transparency and equality in service to all buyers. He knew that buying the apartment was just the beginning. His true goal was to make sure no one else went through what he did. Why not end? Justice is not just about winning a case. It's ensuring that no one else has to fight for something that should already be rightfully theirs.